Get recording. Perfect. All right, awesome. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you a little introduction and then we can go from there.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, so joining us today on the podcast is Mr. Ty Detmer. Mr. Detmer was born a few miles down the road from St. Andrews in San Marcos, Texas, where he was a multi-sport athlete playing golf, football, basketball, baseball, and track. Mr. Detmer won high school All-American honors in football and was named the Texas Player of the Year as well. Mr. Detmer played college football at BYU in Provo, Utah. He played for the BYU Cougars from 1988 to 1991, where he became one of the most prolific quarterbacks in college football history. Detmer won the Heisman Trophy in 1990, and he set numerous records during his time at BYU, including the NCAA record for career passing yards. He continued his career in the NFL and played for 6 NFL teams over 14 seasons. After a successful football career, Mr. Detmer was appointed the new head football coach at St. Andrews Episcopal School in December 2009. After 6 years with the program at SAS, in December 2015, Detmer became the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at BYU. Mr. Detmer, thank you so much for joining me this morning, and it is an absolute honor to have you on here.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
So you said you're stuck at school. I'm curious to know what's going on now. How's coaching and yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I'm out in Phoenix, Arizona area, Queen Creek here at American Leadership Academy, and this will be my third season coming up, and kind of settled into Arizona. My wife's family is all out here, so I didn't make it back to Texas where my family is, but we've been enjoying it here and enjoying the coaching role here at American Leadership Academy.
Awesome. That's great to hear. So I'm gonna go right into it. How many years have you played football, and how many years have you coached football, and just generally been around the sport as a whole?
Well, my dad was a high school football coach as well. He coached for over 50 years. And so I've been around football my whole life. Started playing in kindergarten flag football and then started tackle in fourth grade. Played through high school, 5 years in college. I redshirted a year there and then 14 in the NFL. So I've only coached, let's see, 6, 8, 10 years. So I
Oh,
played
wow.
a lot longer than I've coached so far, but
Right.
I think I have more longevity coaching than I do playing. My playing days are over.
Absolutely. So when you were growing up, what was the initial impression of the quarterback position, and why did you pick to choose to play quarterback?
Well, I grew up just kind of wanting the ball in my hands. And,
Right.
as a little kid playing, you throw it every now and then. You don't throw
Uh-huh.
it a ton, but you at least got to touch the ball almost every play. So
Right.
that appealed to me. And then as I got older, I, got to where I could throw it pretty good and pretty accurate. And then again, kind of being the guy with the ball in your hand every play just appealed to me. And so I wasn't fast enough to be a receiver, probably not big enough for anything else. So quarterback became the natural fit and just kind of worked at it and into high school, and was fortunate to have some success in high school and be able to go play at BYU.
Did you find a lot of encouragement from your parents to continue playing the quarterback position?
I did. Like I said, my dad was a coach, and I played for him in high school. It was a great experience. Really enjoyed that part of it, and so yeah, my mom, my dad always just they just encouraged me to work hard and play wherever I wanted to play. The quarterback just became the natural fit.
Right. So as you made that transition from high school to college, and the quarterback position obviously just gets tougher and tougher as you move up in skill. So why did you choose BYU to continue your career, and what about the program did you value most when you were visiting and being recruited?
Yeah, that's a great question. At the time back in the mid '80s, not a lot of college teams were throwing the football a lot, so
Right.
we threw it around in high school, and so I wanted to go somewhere that fit my skill set, which again, I wasn't fast enough to run the option or do all those things that a lot of schools were doing. But I found BYU as a perfect fit, that I could go in and run a similar offense to what we did in high school. So I had a good foundation and background in that. And then the quarterback tradition they had there with Gifford Nielsen, Mark Wilson, Jim McMahon, Steve Young, Robbie
Yeah,
Bosco, just appealed to me that if you were ever going to have a chance to play in the NFL, that would be a great foundation for continuing to build on what I'd been doing in high school.
absolutely. Did you have any other teams tugging on you at all, or was it BYU all the way?
Well, I committed before my senior year, which then was pretty rare.
Right.
But Miami had called, and there were a few schools that were recruiting me, and I kind of thought BYU was the spot before I kind of got down the road where they actually offered scholarships to me. So I just kind of that summer before my senior year told BYU that's where I was coming and never wavered. So
Awesome. So when you made the decision to head to BYU and played your career out there, obviously winning a Heisman Trophy, the most prestigious award in college football, and finding success there, what surprised you most about the transition from a successful NCAA career to playing in the NFL with arguably the best football players in the world?
yeah, it's a different level. You've got some grown men in the locker room
Yeah.
now that you're playing against, and the mental side of it was obviously a lot different in college where, we ran a passing offense, so we had to read defenses and call protection. So great foundation for the NFL, but you've got guys that have been playing 10 years in the NFL, 32, 33 years old, and that's all they do, and they study it, and they the great players are good because they just put that extra time in and really detail their job, for one, their skill set, but then two, knowing the ins and outs of the offense or the defense.
Right. Did you have any specific moments with any players where they were, assisting you, showing you guidance in this tough kind of NFL atmosphere?
Yeah, I think when I got to Green Bay, they had just traded for Brett Favre, and so
Oh,
he was
wow.
kind of young and
Right.
learning himself. But, that was probably where you learned the most, because I think we were all learning together. Mark Brunell came in the next year, and we spent a couple years together, the three of us, and we were all young, pretty impressionable. Mike Holmgren was the coach. Steve Mariucci was our quarterback coach. Andy Reid was the tight end coach. And so we had a really good coaching staff, and I think he just soaked it all up. And even though Brett was the guy playing, we were learning through him. And then, I had a chance to play with Steve Young with the
Yep.
49ers, and he had a really good year that year. And so you're learning from him and how he did things way different than how Brett did things,
Right.
but both very successful and did it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You really get to see both sides. There's so many different play styles, especially nowadays, that people are still, adapting to. I think of Lamar Jackson when it comes to mind, and just coaches and kind of teams adapting to
Yep.
that and to the game in general, really. So after your time in the
Yeah, I played with
NFL,
my
oh yeah, right. I forgot about I
so
looked at the
he was
rosters back then, and
yeah, he was Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson. So
exactly. Yeah. We just
yeah.
watched a documentary on him in my sports and society class, and it's
Oh,
really unbelievable what he did, and under Donovan McNabb as well. And that
yeah.
kind of play style just nowadays is really coming together.
Yeah, if Michael Vick would have been running zone read
Oh
back then,
gosh.
they wouldn't have been able to touch him. I mean, he would
No.
have killed people. So uh, he was a great athlete.
Absolutely. So after your time in the NFL and being around all these, star caliber players and being around football for so long of your life, what compelled you to go into coaching afterwards?
I kind of felt like that was something I'd always do, just because, again, I grew up around it. It's kind of my comfort level, right?
Right.
Being around the team, and then having the opportunity to learn from, a lot of different coaches along the way, and to be able to you still have to be yourself and have
Right.
your own style, but you can take bits and pieces from everybody on things that you liked and things you didn't like, and then try to implement it into a team. And every year the team's going to be different, so you got to kind of morph with them a little bit.
Right.
And so when I got approached by family friends, the Pakes, about St. Andrews had an opening, I didn't think I would go coach high school football right away,
Right.
but the more I talked about and met, I got started getting excited, and we can do this, and implement these things, and so it just kind of like snowballed, and next thing I knew, I was accepting the offer to coach there.
Right. So let's circle back to that whole family friend ordeal. How did you find your way to St. Andrews?
Yeah, so the Pakes were friends of ours in the Lake Travis area
Mhm.
where we lived, and the coach had been decided to step down, and so their son played football there, and they just kind of reached out, and it was kind of perfect timing.
Mhm.
And so, like I said, I started talking to Laura Longoria
Uh-huh.
and athletic director at the time,
Right.
and like I said, the more I started talking about it, I was formulating things in my head, and just got excited about it, and something I felt really comfortable jumping into.
Would you say that playing quarterback in your career really, really helped you propel your coaching career and get you into that position?
Definitely. I think as a quarterback, you're a little bit of a coach on the field, and your line,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you're making sure everybody's where they're supposed to be, and it's kind of a natural leadership position. So that definitely helped prepare me to be a coach down the road.
Absolutely. So far through your coaching career, what do you enjoy most about being a coach?
I think the relationship with the players, number one, to see kids come in, especially at the high school level, 14-year-old knuckleheads, kind
Yeah.
of immature, and then hopefully leave as 18-year-old young men that
Mhm.
have kind of learned some life lessons along the way, and learned how to work a little bit, and those kind of things. So that's number one. Number two, I still enjoy the competitive juices get
Oh
going,
yeah.
scheming up a defense and
Absolutely.
drawing up plays, those kind of things. So those two things combined make it a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think throughout my experience in high school, I just think that I tell people all the time that, yeah, it's a sport and it's a brotherhood that you can't experience otherwise. But at the same time, it really changed me as a man. And I think going forward, the life principles that I learned and lessons from football will just carry me so far. And I couldn't agree with you more there.
Yep, it does.
So, do you have a specific coach in mind that influenced you how to approach the game of football, or did you really just take ideas from all the coaches that you had been around during your time?
Yeah, I think my dad definitely had an influence. Back in the late '80s or early '80s, late '70s, being around his teams and just seeing how he interacted with the players. He wasn't one of these drill sergeants and
Right,
punish the team. They worked hard, but he allowed guys to have a good time playing and to
right,
enjoy. And so I always enjoyed coaches that way, like Lavelle Edwards of BYU was just kind of kept things calm and
right.
didn't get too excited one way or the other, and allowed you just to play and to have a good time playing. And Steve Mariucci was that way as a quarterback coach, and then my head coach in San Francisco and Detroit, and kind of kept things in perspective. So those guys definitely influenced. As a player, I like that style and just not. I'm not a drill sergeant. I'm not the disciplinarian
Right,
here. If I need to, I can. But I choose to try to mentor kids and talk
right,
them through, and I never wanted to disappoint my coaches, and
right.
so I'm hoping that that's the way my players feel, is like they don't want to disappoint you. They
Uh-huh.
just
Absolutely.
the right way so that you're not disappointed in them.
Do you think you can find success in that drill sergeant type of coaching style?
You can. I mean, there's guys that have been
Mhm.
successful doing it. As a player, it's not always the most fun environment, but yeah, I mean, but again, you have to be your own personality. If I went in trying to do that, they're going to see right through me and know that it's a fake front, and
Right,
so I don't even try. I
right.
you know, I've got a couple other coaches that can do that for me
Uh-huh.
if it get done. But then at the same time, if I know we're not performing to standard and we're loafing and we're doing all those things, I can jump on it and make sure they know that we're serious about it. And so I think when I get to that point, the kids know, okay, we got to straighten up here, So I'm not just blowing smoke all day long
Oh
and
yeah.
then they tune you out, So
Mhm.
save
So
it
when
for when you need.
yeah, yeah. So when you're
So
building that kind of coaching staff around yourself, do you look for specific personalities and coaches, or do you kind of just let everyone, find their way?
no, again, they kind of have to be who they are too.
Right.
Number one, you got to make sure they're treating the kids right and they care about them.
Right.
And they might show it different ways though, and that's okay. But we're held to a higher standard here a little bit as far as language and a lot like St. Andrews.
Right.
We got to treat the kids right and watch our language and do all those things and make sure we're setting the right example. You're looking for guys like that, but are passionate about it and care about the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we circle back to your time here at St. Andrews, I believe I was in the third grade when we had moved to Austin, Texas, and my brother was a senior at the high school. And I remember coming up to the upper school, taking pictures with your Heisman Trophy, all of that, great memories there. And I just remember I found a lot of success in the football program, and I remember growing up being, wow, I want to play for St. Andrews. I want to be on that team, and I saw a lot of success. So what are some of the challenges that you experienced in the program that, tested you a little bit?
Yeah, so coming in, number one, the numbers, how many
Right.
kids playing is you got to try to build up numbers so that you make sure you have enough to field a team and to have some backups and guys. Number two, a little bit of the culture. I guess I came from, where my dad had a rule: if you didn't practice, you didn't play.
Right.
And when I got in there, I was in my head like, okay, we're going to implement these things, and then it's like, oh, we got 38 kids playing football. If I make that rule and the kid has a doctor's appointment, we're not going to be able to have a team.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so for one, a little bit of the commitment level at the time. So kids were missing practice or missing summer workouts. Our weight program was almost non-existent.
Right.
I was fortunate to be able to work with Taylor Stewart,
Yeah.
who got the weight program kind of up and running. We still didn't have as much buy-in as you
Mhm.
hoped, because kids are traveling and they're in and out of town. Kind of the St. Andrews summer, so a little frustrating with the culture of the work ethic. I think of the kids initially when we first got there,
Right.
and we had to kind of slowly build that and do it the right way, not just all or
Right.
nothing either. You gotta understand kids are at the mercy of their parents sometimes as well. They don't have say so in family vacations and things.
Right.
So we kind of built a little bit along the way, and the SBC was a really good football conference, though. I mean, tough conference. So
Oh
we
yeah.
we kind of had to back out of that, play some competition, some schools like us,
Mhm.
which helped us to gain success, because we had a really good freshman class come in, with with some guys that were committed to playing, committed to working out, and so as they got older and more mature, our team got better and more mature. And
Right. That's
that
awesome.
senior year, my last year there, we had a really good football team and some kids but it's because they bought in and they took
Right.
it serious and stayed together as a group.
Yeah, that's really interesting because at my time here at St. Andrews, we actually my freshman year we were conjoined with St. Stephen's, and being crosstown rivals. It was just absolutely the weirdest thing I've
Never
ever
thought,
experienced.
yeah,
And we were battling through some adversity trying to field a team, get guys committed, and it was hard because we're playing with our rivals while we're still playing them in other sports, in basketball, field hockey, lacrosse, you name it. And
yeah,
so I think what you said about, getting the culture right, and I think our head coach now, Edward Cantrell, he's done a fantastic job because we've obviously split from them and are now our independent football team. And, like you said, playing the competition that you need to play to, eventually get to the spot we wanted to be at. I've lived it. I've been the class to like have kids commit to the weights and the program and everything. And it's really cool to see, but it's hard because the
it
culture there
is.
is so specific. And I think that kids kind of drew away from it. And now I think it's coming back again. And like you said, just changing the culture and getting kids to buy in is huge.
Yeah, I love Coach Carroll, Coach with us. Most of the time I was there, and he's bought in. He's there for the kids. He's there for the right
Absolutely.
reasons, and he'll keep it moving forward. So I'm glad he's there and continuing the tradition there.
Absolutely. So, what would you say at your time at St. Andrews? What are you most proud of, and what impact do you feel like you've left with the program?
I think going from 0-10 my first year there, and then slowly winning a few games. I think we won one game or two the next. We beat St. Stephen's,
Oh
I
yeah,
think 2 or 3 years ago, and that was the rivalry, like you said.
right.
And so when the Episcopal, and so
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. I mean, I tell people, I'm like, I was probably more excited when we beat St. Stephen's that first year than I was for any other game in my whole time playing.
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah,
because I'd seen the boys work at it and work hard and put time in, and it was good to see them be able to have success. So those kind of moments are you're proud of, and then to build up to what we did that my last year there, and we knew it was going to be a drop off the next year because we lost like 12 seniors,
right.
which is a big class for Andrews. So you knew it was going to be tougher the next year, and just fielding a team and things. So, but that class and that senior group, was pretty special for St. Andrews, I think, and one of the probably the better teams they've had in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I talk about private schools in Texas, you're surrounded by the Lake Travises, the Westlakes, the Austin Highs. It's football is a religion here, essentially. So what opportunities does a small private school environment offer to players specifically?
So, I think there's some kids there that probably would have never played at other schools. So, giving people the opportunity to have like some experiences and learn some life lessons through the game of football that maybe they wouldn't have at other schools. To be able to play multiple sports, being a smaller school, a lot of the guys played multiple sports or
Right.
participated in band or just different activities, right? So a smaller school is, I think an opportunity for kids to do multiple things and to be able to learn and grow, on and off the field and different things. So it was a great environment. I loved my time there, and had it not been BYU, I don't know if I would have left. I
Right.
might have still been there, but
Right.
when BYU called, it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up at that time.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So
So,
what advice would you give a player from high school trying to make it to that next level and make that, kind of leap that you need to succeed?
yeah, it's I mean, it takes work. Nowadays, I don't know if I would have been recruited because I was 6 foot 160 coming out of
Right.
high
Yeah.
school and definitely didn't look the part, but there's opportunities, and it may take you to South Dakota playing D2 and work your way up from there, maybe going as a walk on. But if that's your dream and you want to play, we've had several St. Andrews kids from that senior team, that my last year there, go on and play college football. And
Uh-huh.
of them walked on, some got scholarships, some went to D3 and played and had great experiences. So there's opportunities out there if you want to go for it. Don't close any doors. And if that's a dream of yours to play college football, there's opportunities there. So just work at it, and you might have to sacrifice a little bit to make that opportunity happen.
Is that a similar message you give to your players now?
Oh, for sure. We've got kids that want to play. We got some kids that are like, well, if I can't play D1, I don't think I want to go play. And I'm like, well, there's opportunities at D2 that you're going to have a great time playing and being part of a team and college football and all those things. But that is kind of personal choice. But if you want to go play, I'll try to do what I can to help you get there. But
Right.
just know, you might have to go play in South Dakota.
Right. Yeah.
A couple get your feet under you. So
Yeah, absolutely. So with St. Andrews, it's a new identity and sort of rebranding, new mascot, new culture. At least my junior year, I had a different coach in every single sport that I played, whether it be football, basketball, lacrosse. It was just a complete reinvigoration of the culture and bringing new people in to create this culture we wanted to create. And I think St. Andrews has put a lot of influence and money into the athletic programs as of now, and really putting an emphasis on athletics as a whole. So, what do you believe it should mean to be a Highlander football player?
So I definitely feel like even here, I think we have probably 75% of our kids play a sport, one sport or another here. We've got 1,200 high school kids in our charter school, and a very high percentage plays some sport. Might be volleyball or golf or track or whatever it is, but we have a high percentage playing athletics, and so I think for St. Andrews being a Highlander, it's kind of weird not to say
Yeah,
Crusader,
absolutely.
but
So weird.
it's you should be proud of it, right? To be a football player, you should put that on your resume for every job interview,
Absolutely.
because it means you put some hard times in. You've
Hmm.
been in the heat, you've been in the humidity, you've crawled around on the ground, you've done all those hard things, and as an employer, I would think that would go a long way, to say, hey, this kid's played high school football in Texas. That means a lot to people around the country, and no matter what level it is, you've put some time in and done some hard work. So people there at St. Andrews should be proud they're playing, whether no matter what success or what level you're playing at. Be proud of that, and hold your head up high, because it does take a lot to make that commitment to play football in Texas.
For sure. All right, coach. I think that's all I've got for you today. I appreciate you coming on. It was a great conversation. Thanks for making time out of your day. I know you're busy and got a lot of things going on, so I really appreciate that. And thanks.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I always enjoy speaking to people at St. Andrews. So tell Miss Guy so I said hi.
Will do. Thanks a lot, Coach
All right.
Detmer.
Have a great day.
You too.